Hey everybody, it's Joe Pro, and welcome back to Paper Mario Month. How you doing today? It's always good to see you.
Oh, by the way, if you've yet to see the real-life Hooktail boss fight, you should check that out.
But today, we're not talking about Hooktail, or at least not just about Hooktail. In fact, we're going to be taking a look at the newly released Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake, and there will be spoilers.
Now, most of you have already played either the original or remake version of the game, so rather than go through a play-by-play of the legendary adventure, I thought I'd focus specifically on what sets this remake apart and sometimes below the original GameCube title.
Call this a subjective analysis if you'd like, a comparison if you will, or a deep dive if you must. I don't know what to call it personally. Ah yes, a review. Good.
So let's discuss 10 ways the remake improves upon the original and 7 ways it stumbles. But please don't kill me, I still adore this remake. Let me know in the comments which version you prefer and why. Kicking this list off with a good thing, nay, a great thing that this remake did. I absolutely adore the new animations that our vibrant cast of characters now emote. And not just Mario, not just his partners, but everyone. Mario's crew of delightful partners are the main event, of course, with their brand new back models, expressive reactions, and entirely original poses. The enemies and other NPCs, all at the very least, have new animations for getting hammered, and I mean that in the best way possible. I can't begin to articulate how satisfying it is to whack away at some of these people. Ooh, I just wanna smash them all. What you could once only do to Waka and Junior Troopa, you can now do to everyone, and it's a hell of a time, especially with the Peach sound effect badge turned on. There are hundreds of new animations and character models that were implemented so seamlessly and beyond my expectations. There's always a risk in a remake that you could lose what originally made your character design so special. As much as I love the Spyro Reignited trilogy, it had exactly this problem. Spyro looks great, no doubt, but most enemies were updated from an imaginative, charming thing into detailed, defined creatures that seemed a bit more generic. All this to say, I am so pleased the development team maintained the exact same character designs, but expanded upon them in so many exciting and unexpected ways. Playing the game, it made me feel like I was in an alternate reality, where it all feels the same and yet so different. As if these designs had been around since 2004, they just feel right. I can't imagine going back to the original now.
Well, except I will be anyway, because in the remake there's something that drives me absolutely nuts.
The first of my 7 critiques, the horrendously terrible text speed and battle UI. Oh god, it's so bad. In general, this list is in no particular order, but I can say that this is easily the most frustrating of my negative points, and from what I've seen online, this is the one call-out that will have most fans agreeing. The dialogue text is so slow. I understand that there's now dialogue sound effects, I understand that, and we will get to that, believe me. But the game literally lets you rush through dialogue if you repeat the conversation, so it's programmed into the game to be able to bypass the sound effects for fast readers or speedruns, and yet it prevents you. And if it was bothersome on my first very casual playthrough, I can only imagine how it's going to feel on dozens of future replays.
You also can't reverse the text in case you miss anything, which I guess would be pretty much impossible with how slowly the text moves. Makes sense.
Anyway, it's not just the dialogue that's slow. Unfortunately, the battle and menu UIs are an absolute drag compared to the original game. Rotating the battle menu and selecting your moves feels laggy compared to the snappy, instant gratification from before. In fact, there have been countless instances in which I literally pressed A to select an attack when the attack option was on screen and the game did not register my input, forcing me to now tap A second time in frustration. I know you can't see what I'm saying on the on-screen gameplay here without playing for yourself, but take my word for it, or just call me a lunkhead in the comments. In the original game, quick, efficient menu navigation was a game in itself, and it felt so satisfying to fly through battle menus instinctively with nothing holding you back. Beyond these frustrations, the star points also take a while to accrue and slow down the action. Audience members seeking to throw debris at you now interrupts the entire battle, so you cannot overlook it. So to generalize this segment of the conversation, I do not like how the game feels to play nearly as much as before. It feels less refined, less snappy, and slow. The text boxes, menu UI, and battle UI all drag when they never did before.
And all of this makes me never want to replay the remake again when I have the original masterpiece right here. Well, except there's this one thing the remake does that absolutely blows my mind.
Those extended cutscenes though, holy cow. Going into my first playthrough, I don't think I really expected many changes to the game's story and comedic moments, but boy was I wrong. Many of the game's cutscenes were extended or updated, and they're far better than before. I'm not going to name all of them, but the general standouts for me were the Embers attacking the SS Flavio, complete with Flavio's glorious pipes. The opening cinematic is gorgeous, the magical map updates are mysterious, and I adore the Glitz Pit cutscenes that show off the massive crowd, stellar character models, and Jumbotron background. But those aren't all. The original game's two bad endings return as well, but now feature much more climactic scenes. Ghost T is a top 5 character for me, and his punishment of Mario for reading his diary is better than ever. It's terrifying, charming, and terrifyingly charming, somehow all at once. Ghost T, what an icon, I love that guy. I also love how the darkness unfolding over Rogueport is now portrayed as the Shadow Queen's demonic hand seizing the world and plunging it into a dark abyss. What an amazing detail. Last but not least, my favorite cinematic update absolutely blew my mind and sent me spiraling. When Mario went into Peach's bathroom, I was like, I was ready for what was to come. I was around in 2004, so I knew I was gonna kick an X-Naught's butt and then take a shower, because that's what you do, That's what you do. But little did I know, there was an X-Naught in the shower, not next to the shower.
They were in the shower and they attacked me. Talk about X-Naughty.
Wow, what a great game. I think I'm only gonna play the remake from now on. Wait, no, it can't be. You're telling me the game only runs at 30 frames per second and has mild slowdown when entering pipes? Oh no. Actually, I don't really care about this one so much. Sure, yeah, it would be great if it ran at 60 FPS like the original, but this is easily the most minor of my nitpicks. I figured I'd bring it up though. I mean, is it noticeable? Yeah, and hopefully it runs better on Switch too, but no big deal. It might have deterred me more from playing the remake so much, except something life-changing happened.
By playing the Thousand Year Door remake, my quality of life improved.
I've never been one for dangerous situations, and so walking back and forth across sketchy parts of town was always daunting as a kid back in 2004. But now, thanks to the Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door game, I don't have to walk across town. I can fast travel, and not just across one map location, but to other ends of the earth. It's so convenient. When I was an 8-year-old in 2004, I loved playing Super Mario Sunshine, but tracking down all the blue coins took a long time, so I didn't have time to track down all the star pieces laying around outside. I didn't even want to stop playing my GameCube for a second, stupid kid. Sure, I had a dirty rat that helped me out from time to time, but now, thanks to the Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door game, I have a map that tells me how many star pieces are left laying around. There are many other improvements in my quality of life as well. I can store items a lot better at the grocery store, change my partner at the click of 2 buttons, use conveniently placed trampolines, avoid redundant encounters with myself, and even skip unwanted cutscenes.
My quality of life has never been better thanks to the Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door game for Nintendo Switch.
Wow, with all these improvements, I guess the remake is just the better game, right? Wrong. It was so close. It was so close. But I just can't ignore the difficulty adjustments made in the re-release. This was already an easy game, an introductory RPG of sorts. And while I would have loved to see a proper hard mode, I at least wanted the game to be as difficult as it was before.
Was that too much to ask? Well, short answer, yes. Long answer, yes. It was too much to ask.
You see, the primary culprit here is the battle system's RNG elements. The random stage hazards, dodgy fog, audience shenanigans, most of these tend to negatively target your opponent and or benefit Mario and his ally. There were some boss battles I played where the RNG relentlessly attacked the boss again and again, and it made for a less satisfying climax when I just kinda walked my way to victory. The action commands for the most part seem easier as well, with a few counter exceptions such as power bounce. Earth Tremor is easier to perfect, Art Attack lasts longer, Supernova gives me fewer aneurysms, and Sweet Treat and Feast have less poison mushrooms. Beyond the battling, diseconomies of scale yield more plentiful coins, dungeon keys are now colored for some reason, even though you never have more than one at a time anyway, and, the worst one.
You can now restart the current scene after a game over without reverting back to your most recent save.
Yeah, this includes the Pit of 100 Trials, which sorta ruins the whole point. And sure, you don't have to do this, you could just accept the pain, cry for a while, and restart the pit from the beginning, but, I mean, why would you? And speaking of why did the developers add more save blocks into new locations, if you can just restart upon death anyways? Is it so that you can just turn the game off more often? Because there were already adequate save blocks for that. And the Switch can also go to sleep. So I don't know, I don't get it. In summary, the game is considerably easier than before, and I didn't even mention the new 15 item inventory cap. Well, now I mentioned it.
It is what it is though, I'm not gonna let this stop me from enjoying the game, especially when the new music is so freaking good.
The remastered music is another of the wonderful additions to the remake. While not every boss and area theme saw improvement, there are absolutely some standouts. In the original game, the puny theme was one of my least favorites. It sounds so aggressive and harsh, which is not at all reminiscent of the adorable creatures. It really grated on my nerves, but the reimagined Puny's theme is one of my favorite glow-ups in the new soundtrack. It's a beautiful melody that matches the innocent adventures of the Pikmin. I mean the puny tribe. The new Rogueport music is beautiful, if a bit too bombastic. The Rogueport sewers is better than ever. Magnus's two themes see significant improvement and are now a blast to soak your ears in, and I love how the Thousand Year Door theme progresses and changes across each chapter, becoming louder and more mysterious. The three dragon siblings each have their own unique score this time. Atomic Boo earned its own original composition, and you even get a wonderful new rendition of the Paper Mario 64 title theme when seeing Parakarry and Bow. I love that. Reminiscent of Yoshi and Mario Sunshine, Keelhaul Key now overlays a silly little kazoo tune when Flavio rides you. Both the cute music and Flavio riding you are such a good time. Then there's all the brand new music that feels like it was lifted right from previously cut content. The partners each have their own motif, Koops in particular is a standout. Each chapter now showcases its own battle music arrangement, and I love the jazzy theme used for Riverside Station. Another great choice was allowing Chapter 8 to leverage its creepy overworld music in battle rather than cutting to a battle-specific arrangement, thus allowing the dreadful tone and tension to persist uninterrupted. The reunion music from the original release also returns, but now boasts numerous arrangements that play at the culmination of nearly every chapter. Not only are some of the new compositions gorgeous, but the consistency and application helps the game's many subplots feel more cohesive than ever. Brilliant stuff here. Finally, one of my favorite new moments in the game is during the escape sequence from the X-Naut Fortress that follows a somber meeting with TEC. The remake score accompanying this scene is superb and devastating. It's a beautiful emotional moment elevated by the new score and a really nice touch.
So of course I'm happy, right? I would never need to hear the old music, especially when the new music is this good, and I can finally proclaim this as the ultimate version of the Thousand Year Door, right? Well, not exactly. Not exactly at all.
Here's the thing. While the majority of the new music is phenomenal, there are some boss themes in particular that, in my opinion at least, experienced bold changes that do not pay off. Rock-Hawk, Grubba, and Grotus's themes messily cover up their iconic melodies with noise. It's just like lots of overlaid rhythmic sounds, I don't know, but the melodies are distant. Maybe it's just the sound mixing of the tracks, but even when listening to the tracks in isolation, the melodies are quiet. X-Not Fortress is a prime demonstration of this. Here, let's compare the old with the new super quick. The new sound mixing elevates the rhythm, the beat, if you will, while the old prioritizes the amazing electronic melody, and it's iconic for a reason. Then there are other reimagined compositions that start strong but continue into a brand new second half that is not at all derived from the source material. Twilight Trail and Poshley Heights are two appropriate examples. So while yes, listening to these in a vacuum on YouTube is a stunning experience, I kinda just want to have the memorable melodies in the game. But hey, Joe Pro, I hear you say, you don't have to listen to the new music, just use the Nostalgic Tunes badge and screw off with your negative opinions.
And I would say, first of all, rude, but fair. And second of all, that badge is great and I'm incredibly appreciative for it, but, however, it is overridden by any entirely brand new music in the game.
That means Hooktail's introduction theme is entirely absent, even with the badge applied. Same goes for Twilight Trail's gorgeous aura once Vivian joins your party. A quiet new theme plays instead of the traditional Twilight Trail music from the original game. The most devastating exclusion for me and many others is the near erasure of the original game's danger theme. I'm pretty sure it plays only once during the Ghost Pirate attack now. While it was maybe overutilized in the original game, I especially loved its use during the final dive into the Shadow Queen's tomb. But now, even with the Nostalgic Tunes badge on, this area plays only subtle sounds and hums. Sure, the quietness builds its own creepy atmosphere, but I really miss the terrifying dread of the original, and it's impossible to enable it in the remake. There are numerous other examples of the new game's soundtrack taking priority over the old, even with the badge's intervention, and it's a shame. Nonetheless, I'm glad the badge exists and that the new music is mostly top-notch, or I may have declared the original the superior title. But actually, I'm not sure the original has any claim at being the winner, not when the remake went the extra mile to add character dialogue sound effects. Oh my god, I love it. The new character speaking sounds add an abundance of new flavor to the experience, and the Koopas and Bob-ombs sound especially great. Oh, but none of the added voices come close to comparing to the cursed chests. The creepy reverb laugh they let out when opened is so cool. The voice additions often play nicely into some of the game's comedic gags too, such as Frankie's poor voice becoming deeper and more worn out as he displays his affection for the nasty Francesca. My favorite voice sample has got to be Flavio's though. His beautiful singing vocals are an experience to have lived through and made Chapter 5 so dang charming. Decades from now, they'll ask, where were you when you first heard Flavio sing? I was on my couch.
Okay, so the new sound design is great, and we can finally go home knowing that Joe Pro's favorite version is the remake, right? We're good. Joe Pro's silly back and forth is done. Wrong. I'm crazy.
Yes, the character sounds are great, and there are some other new cool sound effects like the GBA startup sound, but unfortunately a ton of the most unique sounds from the original were replaced with generic new samples, and I am not a fan. What's worse is there's no getting these back. Nostalgic tunes cannot help you. But sure, fine, you want some examples? Okay, well, let me work on those real quick. Yoshi's running footsteps, gone, and the new sounds are basically inaudible. The audience is now far less vocal as well, and the whiny little scream upon getting their butts kicked by Mario is a thing of the past. And the Shadow Queen is notably less creepy sounding as well. The disturbing darkness of the Tower of Riddles sound design has been extinguished. Before, the key pillars played an ominous demonic tune when rising, but now the entire tower sounds much more uplifting and magical, rather than dark and eerie. The stellar sound design of the Thousand Year Door room sounds much more generic as well. And finally, one of the worst things about this remake. Oh, it hurts. Yes, sure, TEC's dialogue sounds are great, but guys, come on. His text box pop-up sound is gone. Gone, I say. To me, that iconic ba-ba-ba was TEC. I mean, surely it was the most memorable sound in the entire game, right?
TEC, I'll never forget the way that you would... But you're in a better place now, you adorable little...
I don't know if I can forgive that one. I don't know, but I guess maybe I could if the initially cut Prince Mush boss fight I've begged for the last 6 months was finally reinstated to the game.
But it wasn't. Sorry, Joe Pro. You're just a pathetic loser. And not just because you have a Paper Mario YouTube channel. What? Hello? Who's this?
I'm the best!
Mush? Mush? Do I know a Mush? Oh, Prince Mush! Well, why didn't you say so? Hello, buddy. How you doing? Wait, how did you get this number?
Yahoo!
What? Wait, you've been training to fight me?
Here we go!
It's Prince Mush.
Okay!
I've seen some folks online complain about the lack of new content in the remake, and I honestly don't understand why. Sure, more would have been nice, but I didn't even expect as much as we got. By far, my #1 wish for this remake was an added fight with Prince Mush, and boy did we get it, and boy did he get me. He's pretty tough at first, especially since I fought him at level 15, but while the battle is a little gimmicky, it's also a lot of fun. I waited 20 years for this and was not disappointed. I won't show off the other new boss fight since many of you may have not reached it yet, but it's a hilarious addition that makes for an unforgettable duel. Of course, we've already discussed all the small added features and animations, but the final notable addition are the music player and art gallery. The art gallery in particular showcases many fascinating concept arts of the game's development and are a stunning joy to spend some time taking in. So while we could have had more new content, I'm perfectly content with what we got.
But am I content enough to not rant about the newly implemented censorship in the game? No, of course not. That's what we're doing. We're comparing and contrasting.
But as with the frame rate, I will say this is another I'm not too bent out of shape about. Of course, I'd prefer if Goombella's interactions with the smelly Goom Bros were maintained as they were in the original script, and Hooktail lost a few fantastic lines as well, but there are also so much brand new dialogue added to the script that are hilarious in their own right. To me, it's a trade-off, one that personally I wouldn't have voluntarily chosen to take, but not one that makes a significant difference. Actually, I think the most frustrating instance of text change for me are the adjustments made to the mushroom naming conventions. Life Mushroom? Really? Volt? Mushroom? Super Mushroom?
No, I hate it. It's Super Shroom. Super Shroom.
While I cry about Super Shrooms, please enjoy a previously recorded segment of me talking about another one of my top 10 favorite additions, the art style. I hated the modern trilogy's overly colorful, papery style, but the Thousand Year Door remake perfectly blended this with the original source material, and it's perfect. The folds and creases are still there, but the overall looks and vibes of the locations are unaltered. The lighting and reflections are gorgeous, and the very tiny white outlines are a brilliant effect. Rather than looking like stickers, these characters now look like they were actually cut out of paper. Huh. Oh, I get it. Like Paper Mario. Clever. The various XS Express artwork around Poshley Heights are a nice touch, like it's an iconic representation of their local culture that they're immensely proud of. Shadow Queen is dazzling, the illuminated Tower of Riddles is astonishing, and Cortez, I wanna touch him. Why does he look so felty? Ooh, I wanna touch him.
Wow, that sure helped me to stop crying. Thanks, art style. You're pretty great. But great enough to make me forget about all of my miscellaneous complaints that don't organize into any particular category? Almost that great, but I don't forget.
Let's work through these last nitpicks quickly and in no particular order. You still can't take on more than one trouble at a time. Your partners appear for the Crystal Star door scenes, but vanish before the scene ends. Like, that's weird. I'm glad they all show up for the scene, but why did they disappear? The new cleared text replacing end of chapter is completely unwarranted and a terrible change. For some reason, guessing the freak in a sheet's name and entering passcodes uses a cool, stylized keyboard, but naming your Yoshi Kid uses the Switch keyboard? Why? That's so strange. The crystal stars don't look nearly as good as in the original, and I miss the exclamation points and thought bubbles that used to appear above doors and NPCs. These were replaced by generic text-based icons. Lastly, this is a super weird, incredibly specific complaint, and it's actually about both the remake and the original game. I don't really know why I'm bringing it up, but it's something I've always wanted to talk about. In Riverside Station, why is the switch that lowers the physical drawbridge a temporary blue block, but the mechanism that drops the block is a physical lever? Like, should these not be flipped? The exclamation block should unveil the hidden physical lever that's built into the station, and flipping this physical switch should operate the drawbridge that is literally in the same style as the switch. Like, am I crazy? Oh, okay, well, I know I'm crazy, but I can't be alone on this. Let me know in the comments if you've noticed this in every playthrough too, and sorry that I'm a freak.
Wait, how is this relevant again? Oh yeah, they should have switched the two switches in the remake, and because they did it, it's a terrible remake. Screw you, Nintendo.
Is what I would have said, but there are so many miscellaneous good things I haven't gotten to yet that comprise my 8th favorite changes to the game. The additional NPCs visiting the Glitz Pit make it feel so much more alive and energetic. I was amused at the Embers being present to wish Mario to victory. The Palace of Shadow maze is now more complex with backwards requirements. That was really a surprise, actually. You can jump over handrails now, which is very helpful. Of course, the Paper Mario 64 partners show up in a photo frame, and Punio shows up in all sorts of unexpectedly weird places. Like, I know that this is just to guide younger players, but the sudden change nearly gave me a heart attack in the best possible way. I felt like I had briefly drifted into a parallel world or something. Last two things, I chuckled at Flavio accidentally handing the skull gem to Mario rather than the cola. And when I tell you, I cried laughing when this idiot Podler was out here witnessing the most epic moments of his pathetic life unfold, and he's still wiping the smudges off this glass. Like, dude, I respect a man for his work ethic, but my guy's a moron. Sorry, I guess I'm a little prejudiced against him after what Podley did to Bobbery and to Eve. Does that make me problematic? Am I profiling? Nah. These guys deserve it. They're the worst.
Okay, we're almost done, but you may have noticed that I've addressed 7 negative things, but only 8 positive things about this remake. Well, there are indeed 2 talking points remaining, and both swing in the positive direction. Sorry that my list of negatives and positives are not balanced with 10 each, but only a little bit sorry.
My 9th favorite change or addition to the remake is a teeny tiny one, sort of a list filler, you may say, but I am obsessed with the XS Express at dusk. Obsessed. I already adored this train, I love trains and want to live on it, but the remake did a splendid job with making it even more atmospheric and immersive. Check out the lighting during the daytime. It shines in through the windows on the right side of the train, of course. But at dusk, the dining cabin is simply stunning with its ambient sunset peering in through the train's left windows. The attention to detail here is incredible. And again, I want to live here. Finally, last but not least, the music. The Dusk Excess Express music is undoubtedly my favorite upgrade to the original game's soundtrack, and it completes the set piece in immaculate fashion. It's true perfection, and one of the most beautiful tracks in the series.
No. That pun was not intended. Absolutely not. I would not do that to you guys. That was unintentional. That was not on purpose. Yeah, it was.
And that brings us to my final positive praise for updates to the remake. They did it. I didn't even know I wanted it. I didn't even know I needed it. And they did it all the same. They gave us a parade finale. Paper Mario 64's credits are my favorite in all of gaming thanks to the undeniable charm that it exudes. TTYD always stood out as a far inferior credit sequence, and I grew up wishing it shared in the parade festivities. Well, they sure solved that, didn't they? I screamed, I laughed, I cried. Sure, it isn't quite a parade, it's a curtain call in which most of our NPCs come to take their final bow, but it still checks the same boxes as a parade while being even more fitting to the theme of the game. The 64 parade lets you see all of the charming characters together one last time, but in all sorts of wacky scenarios. And here you get the same flow of creativity and charm, but applied to a stage setting just like the game's battles. The concept makes so much sense. Seeing Parakarry kick the whole thing off was emotional, the music was incredible, and Ghost T's appearance had me cackling. And to literally top it all off, TEC is even there watching over the festivities. I bet some of you didn't even notice the little fella up there. Absolute perfection. Bravo to the development team. Bravo.
Well, my friends, that was my list of the good and bad of the Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake. What would you have done differently? What would you change? And what do you think about my list? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below.
But hey, this is a comparison review of sorts, so I guess I should finally proclaim which game I think is superior. Where does the pendulum swing? How do the dice finally land?
Well, I'll tell you. I'm still not sure. But I'll tell you in my next video where I rank all 7 of the Paper Mario games from worst to best. I promise. Okay, don't kill me. Bye.